Welcome to the Wodesman podcast, catching up with all things bushcraft, wild camping and the great outdoors.
So, hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Wodesman podcast. I'm your host, Liam Primal Nomad, for this one. Just a very short introduction from me, and then you'll be back with me and Tom. And actually, this time we're at the Bushcraft Show. We met up with so many new listeners, viewers, and just great people at the event. And it was a really busy one for us both. We've got so much kind of Wodesman clips and audio. We're going to have to make 2 episodes out of this, but they'll be releasing in quick succession. So to start off, we're going to just share a little interview that we had with Field and Steel. And he is a knife maker, Steve, from the north of England, and he produces some absolutely amazing bits of kit. I have one of his splinters, a little small neck knife that acts as a perfect kind of utility scalpel. Tom also has plenty of Field and Steel's blades, including the Omega, which he did an amazing review on YouTube, so definitely go check that out. But without further ado, I hope you enjoy, and next time, like I said, we'll be catching up with a more kind of in-depth of the show and some of the makers and people who attended. But I hope you enjoy this episode with Steve from Field and Steel, and definitely go check him out on Instagram and check out his shop as well. Until next time guys, we'll see you soon, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Wodesman podcast. The Wodesman podcast is proud to bring you a unique opportunity from the State Detective, whose mission is to source and offer their followers some of the best beef products on the market. With a passion for steak and World War II military history, the State Detective combines a love for a period in history that integrity, honesty and patriotism were all embodied. The State Detective embraces these great attitudes, and together we're giving a gentle nod to those who served by offering you, the listener, a promotional code for the State Detective. Use the code Wodesman20 to receive 10% off of your order, and also award 10% to help support the Bearded Fisherman, a UK-based charity helping those suffering with mental health issues. So whether you're in the market for beef jerky, biltong, incredible sauces, ration packs, tanks, warships or flyboys, and also love bushcraft, cooking, hunting or fishing, check out the State Detective. It's terribly British.
Well guys, we've passed an absolute legend in the knife making world.
We have indeed.
Steve Armstrong, Field and Steel. I saw him from a distance. I was like, I know that man.
Yeah.
I know him from his workshop diaries.
Had to call
The amount of chats that me and Steve have had online about knives and just nerding out about steels and grinds and things.
Yeah, it's a gateway. It's a gateway to knife making. Is nerding out about steel.
And I was like, right, we've just got to collar him and just get him on for just 10 minutes. So thank you so much, Steve, for just giving up your time
Not
to
a problem,
come and talk
not a
to
problem.
us.
Yeah, massively appreciated. It's you've got a day ticket, haven't you? So you're here for
Yeah,
the day.
we've got to shoot off soon. We've got to drive back up to Yorkshire.
Yeah.
But it's kind of sad, really, because you know, once you're out, you're out. I know.
I
It's
know
like,
what you mean.
Yeah,
gonna
you
be
could
out,
come
out.
over for a curry. It would have been lovely.
yeah.
But next time.
Next time, yeah, we should do a camp. It would be good fun.
We should.
I'm open to camping suggestions. Any excuse to get under canvas, I don't
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, no, we'll
I
have
don't
to
think
make
people realise that when
No,
you know,
I think we should do that. It'd
Yeah,
be good
should,
fun.
should be a day.
when
we
they
put
see
the
me in a
diary.
workshop, they don't realise that I do a lot of.
No,
bushcraft
well, that's
stuff
one of the
as well.
things that we've chatted, because Liam's had to go with all my Field and Steels, and you've got the
Yeah.
Splinter, haven't you?
Yeah, you can tell they're made by someone who does have that experience in the woods, you know, and
Well, that's where it came from.
yeah,
The outdoor stuff was there before at the same time as the knives. But I mean, I've been carrying knives since I was probably 6 or 7. You've got to bear in mind that I'm an old guy now, so I grew up in the 70s and 80s when it were all right to give kids knives and not worry about not worry about the consequences. So you know, I do vaguely remember getting my first pocket knife when I was probably about 6.
Nice.
And my dad's a really big outdoorsman.
Yeah.
Into his fly fishing and
Oh,
his
I love that.
hiking and his navigation.
That's amazing.
And I learned a lot. I learned a lot from my dad.
yeah.
Perfect introduction to the hobby.
But my granddad was a knife maker.
Right.
My granddad was actually
So
a
it's in your
Sheffield
blood.
knife maker,
Yeah.
so it's kind of in the blood.
No, that absolutely.
So it was always
Yeah.
at the back of the brain that I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
As my dad would say, it's not from the wind you got it then.
No. But obviously, that is a very recent thing. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
fairly new to knife making, I suppose. I mean, there's been guys in the game that I look up to that have been, like Sandy and stuff, who've been
Yeah.
Of course.
making knives for probably 20. I mean, Ben.
Yeah.
I think Ben's been making knives for 20 years, even though he's younger than me.
Yeah.
I think he started straight out of school.
That's
Making
Yeah,
knives.
he's amazing.
There's some really talented craftsmen around.
Yeah,
at
and
the
we
show.
were chatting about this earlier, weren't we? And that
Yeah.
we wanted to do like a spotlight. I was going to do a spotlight episode on British knife makers.
Yeah, I like that
Yeah.
idea of yours.
Yeah, that'd
I
be
just
cool.
think that would be really cool because I've tried most British knife makers' knives now because I love supporting independent craftsmen. I just think it's an amazing thing, and I use knives every single day of my life.
Yeah.
And when you find a maker like yourself,
Yeah.
who you know I can depend 100% on this tool, it's a really special thing. And I almost feel like I've got to know you through your tools, if that makes sense. I sort of understand your philosophy of knife making by actually using your tools. I can see the sort of design choices that have been made.
Yeah.
And it's like I have your Omega, as you know, which is sort of your larger Puko. It's got a 5mm thick spine,
Beautiful blade.
but the grind on it makes it feel a lot thinner when you're actually doing feather sticks and stuff.
yeah, it's
and
nimble, isn't it?
I taught a course on, and we were doing feather sticks, and I probably carved 20 feather sticks in a row with that field and steel. And then I showed battening. I did demos on battening, and I was just literally beating the shit out of it for the day. And then we did bow drill the next
That's what
day,
it's there
and
for.
it was like 3 days of literally the hardest use you could put a knife through. And at the end of the weekend, it looked like I'd never used the thing,
Yeah.
and it was still shaving sharp. And I was like, yeah,
That's everything a
this
Puko
is
should be, isn't it?
literally a tool that I could rely on.
Yeah. It would be a good one-tool option, that would,
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
The trap I think a lot of knife makers fall into is they feel the need to come up with these complicated heat treat processes to justify the price tag. But to be honest, if you look at the recipe, because every piece of steel you buy comes with a recipe, it's not difficult. If you look at the recipe, it's minimal.
Yeah.
And these are engineered. These steel companies spend hundreds of thousands of pounds coming up with these formulas
Yeah.
to get the best from their steel.
Yes.
So to start adding in
Yeah.
extra quench cycles here, extra heat treat cycles there, normalising processes here, all you're doing is messing about with that steel, and you're opening up for more errors. You're opening up for more flaws to creep into that steel.
Yeah, you could actually put a flaw
So-
where there isn't one, yeah.
yeah,
The best advice I can offer anybody is just, if you're buying a piece of 01, if you're buying a piece of 1085, if you're buying a piece of, even if you're going into stainless,
Yeah.
if you're buying a piece of ABL or a piece of Sandvik 14C28N, is stick to what the manufacturer are telling you to do with that piece of steel to get the best out of that steel,
Yeah.
and you won't go far wrong. You'll end up
Makes
with a
sense.
good knife.
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
the rest
really
of,
good advice,
That
actually,
is.
because some of our listeners do like dabble, don't they, in knife making and try their hand at sort of
Yeah,
different
and I'm sure
things.
there's others that
And,
haven't.
like, I've done it before. I've bought some 01 and made some knives out of it, and they cut.
Yeah.
Like I turned my barbecue into a little forge.
But it is
once
those
and
little
managed to make a
nuances
few little things.
that change, like, a kind of, I don't know, I guess a hobbyist into a craftsman, someone who can put out reliable blades, like your splinter, for example.
We both have one.
Both
of
have a
those.
splinter,
Yeah,
and it
the
always
good
lives on my little necklace,
Good
wire
little
necklace.
knives,
It's
then.
just good
Good
to
little
go
knives.
always, and it's such a thought out design.
Yeah.
Still a full tang, you can rely on.
I will
it.
let you into a little
love
bit
it.
of a secret about the splinter. I probably shouldn't say this, should
No,
I?
no,
But
no, you've started now. You have to tell
little
us.
nugget. I had a load of bits of steel left over,
Yeah.
and a load of bits of handles left over,
Yeah,
and I just thought, do you know what would be cool? I can
Yeah.
use these bits of steel up. I can use these bits of G10 up. I'll make an EDC scalpel.
yeah,
Everybody likes an EDC
Yeah.
scalpel.
Yeah,
I'll make something that a leather worker can use.
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they can resharpen it, because weirdly, about the same time, a friend of mine had asked me if I could sharpen him a load of Stanley knife blades, and I'm like, "You tight son, just buy a load more Stanley knife blades." He says, "Yeah, but I've got all these Stanley knife blades that are still sharp, but not sharp enough for me. I want to sharpen them up." I'm like, "They're like £8 for a pack of 100." And then it got me thinking, actually, a reusable scalpel
is a really
would be an EDC scalpel would be a pretty good idea. And it meant I could use up all these scraps of steel that were not good for anything else.
Fantastic. Like the less waste you get in your process, the better. If you can make a product that people really use.
That's why we like Thornhill Ultra Heavy.
Yeah,
He's
Thornhill's
very
great
big
at
on
that.
as well.
He uses all the scraps of his tarp materials to make little haversacks or little bags.
What I love about his stuff is he started out as Thornhill Ultralight, but there were too many people making ultralight gear, and he didn't really like making it. So he just
went the opposite.
Flipped the switch and started making everything out of canvas. I love that.
As heavy as he could possibly make
it. Wasn't he? Super like kind of hot tank style things.
Yeah, sil poly tarps and ultralight backpacks and stuff like that. Yeah.
Funny
and now he's just making stuff.
And now he's just chucking D-rings on things just because they look cool. And he's like, you know what? It adds weight, but I like it. And I'm just like, legend.
You can hang it from a tree now and swing on it and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
But that's how the Splinter came about. And I've just been asked if I'll make them in stainless. So there may be a stainless one coming.
Oh, that's an exclusive. That's a Wodesman exclusive. That is.
And it'll probably be in Sandvik. It'll probably be in Sandvik 14C 28N.
Oh, mate.
Because I'm loving Sandvik. I'm loving Sandvik.
You finding it nice to use?
It's maybe not quite, and this is literally on a microscopic level. Maybe not quite as good as ABL from a sharpening point of view. And edge retention, definitely, they're on par.
Nice.
Corrosion resistance, definitely, they're on par. But from a knife making point of view, the Sandvik's just a little bit easier to work with. It drills out a little bit better. It's a little bit less hard on your belts.
Which
so
all adds up.
It's just the production time's a little bit easier with the Sandvik,
which makes sense.
If you give somebody a knife that's in 14C 28N, and this is me nerding out on steel, by the way. Now,
I'm loving it.
Or a knife in ABL, and I didn't tell you which were which.
You wouldn't be able to tell.
Not unless you were some kind of genius. You wouldn't be able to tell. There's a little bit of a yellow tinge to the ABL, and there's a little bit of a blue tinge to the Sandvik, but only microscopic.
That's amazing.
But it's to a layman. You one cuts just as well as the other,
and that's what you need the knife for, really. At the end of the day, isn't it? It's to cut stuff.
Cut stuff and be reliable.
Yeah.
Which both yours fit the bill for both, don't they?
That's why I started making knives. Well, I started designing knives because like you, Tom, I've probably owned everything, literally everything, from Woodlaws to Jacklaws to AA Forge to Adventure Sworn to Deering to
this sounds like my bedside table.
I've traded.
This sounds like my bedside table, which is full of every knife under the sun.
I've traded all the way up and down that scale, and never could find, with the exception of AA Forge, Adam Gray's knives are where I want to be.
I've never actually had an AA Forge knife.
Adam's knives, fit and finish is just on another level.
He does lovely knife blade finishes, doesn't he?
And I've yet to work out how he does his Scandivex so well, because his Scandivex is just flawed.
Bit of black magic going in there.
Yeah, something.
Little bit of secret dust.
With the demons.
But I couldn't find what I really wanted, so I started designing knives. Literally. I were a leather worker before. And a good friend of mine who ended up being kind of my mentor, a guy called Paul Whetstone, who was a bladesmith and blacksmith and steel fabricator up in Leeds. He sort of said, well, you come and do my leather work for me and I'll make you a few knives. So this went on 18 months, couple of years, and I were doing his sheaths, and he were making me knives in payment, and I'd come up with a design for a knife and he'd make it for me, and then I think he just got sick of me going, make me this, make me this, make me this. So I said, look, I'll teach you how to make knives.
Oh, that's awesome.
So for however long, 18 months, on a Saturday morning, I used to go up to his workshop and bang about with bits of steel, and he'd show me where I was going wrong, and then he actually gave me, and it's the belt grinder that I still use. He gave me a belt grinder, and he gave me a little gas forge, and just told me to sod off.
That's fantastic, though.
Told me to sod off and not come back, basically.
What a legacy you've been buying those little gifts,
5 years, 6 years, 7 years, or whatever it is. I don't even know where we are
amazing.
now. I've been blessed. To be able to do it full time for the last couple of 3 years. So
that's brilliant.
I mean, like, I know I like a lot of knives, but like, I'm not just being a fanboy here, but Field and Steel are up there as some of the best knives I've ever used.
I remember you bought one of the friction folders.
Yeah, so that was my first Field and Steel.
The Jackrabbit.
The Jackrabbit with the lovely rock pattern handle, and I got that from you on one of your Sunday sales. I just waited until the exact moment you posted it, and then I sent you a message.
You brought that to our camp, like one of our first camps this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I got your
the one with the
100th knife as well. Yeah, which I use, and we use that on the shelter build. But I like to keep that one quite nice because it's obviously a special knife.
Well, it's the only one. It's the only one in existence. That one.
That got some box there.
Because it's just a pain. They're an absolute pain in ass to make those, so don't make them.
I've carved some nice spatulas and spoons with that. But I try and keep that one really pristine because it's special, and then beat the living hell out of my Omega.
Well, they're just that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
And I wanted to build something that was like,
very impressive.
a survival knife. 5-inch blade, 5mm thick, and something you could just smash.
And
the grip is so good on
two people that I know have actually ordered one after seeing it in my video. So we had someone that I met on a course, he went and ordered one after seeing it in my videos, and then someone else, I'm not going to say who they are in case their wives don't know they bought the knives, don't want to get them in trouble, got the same as mine, the Omega, but with a bow drill divot in the handle, and I thought that was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm not going to say either, just in case.
Just in case, you never know.
He's overseas.
Yeah,
he is overseas. Well, they're both overseas. They're both overseas. So you must be doing better than you think with your
I don't know.
with the YouTube channel.
Our reach for the podcast is very international, actually.
Yeah, it's been.
We have a lot of listeners over in America.
Actually. We've got people like in Bosnia and Botswana and stuff like that. Crazy demographics. If
you're listening to this and you're in Botswana, thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you, Steve, as well, for coming on.
Not a problem. And hopefully we can get a longer chat in, and I'll maybe come down and
a camp
and see you guys, and we can do it all and have a firing background for sound effects and stuff like that.
And even we might even get up north sometime, mightn't we?
I'd love that. Love to come and visit your workshop at some point and see you where you
I'm glad I could come and see you guys. I'm glad I could come and see you, and good luck with everything. Good luck with the YouTube channel, and good luck with the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
It's amazing. I just want to offer you a big congratulations as well with all the stuff you've been doing with Joe Price and getting everything into international markets and getting it abroad. And
well, I mean,
it's
me and Joe just kind of have these chats, and we don't like intentionally have business meetings because we just have these chats, and it's just like, what if we did this? What if we did that? And before you know it, you know what I mean, Joe's like, let's do it. And he's just
he's such an easy guy.
He's such a lovely guy.
Yeah,
we had him on the podcast, and we chatted to him for 2 hours, and then we stopped the recording, and then just carried on chatting.
Yeah, we must have had
just such a lovely guy. And then we nerded out about our Field and Stills.
You had yours there.
I had mine out on the table while we were recording.
He's got loads of my knives.
Yeah. I like the look. I'll tell you which I really love the look of is your. Is it the Banshee with the finger ring?
Oh, the Lycan.
The Lycan,
yeah.
The Lycan. That just looks so much fun to play with.
Looks mean, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That looks really nice pattern.
That's all made out of one piece of steel.
Yeah.
One piece of 6.4mm.
Yeah.
They're a pain in the ass to
make. Because you do the rock pattern. So the rock pattern, for our listeners that don't know, the rock pattern is like, it's a texture that you put on the G10, isn't it?
Yeah. It's kind of a faceted sort of flint.
It's
effect.
Amazing. The amount of grip that it gives you, and it's super comfy. I actually think it's more comfortable than a flat, like a.
And you wouldn't look at it.
Looking
at it, you'd think, oh, that would, but it's actually really it's
really ergonomic.
smoothly done. Yeah, everything's.
You
It
don't.
just works
The
well.
thing is, you don't think it's going to be comfortable.
That's
but
until
it
you hold
actually is more comfortable than a smooth.
That's what
smooth
I'd agree
handle
with you
down.
on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because especially with a Puko, you know, where you're running straight up onto the blade, it's kind of you got that same belly bit in the middle with the handle to the blade. It's nice to actually have that bit of extra security with the grip.
Yeah.
So if your hands get
Well,
a
you
little bit
don't-
wet
yeah.
or sweaty, you don't
I
run
mean,
down
traditionally, Pulcos have no there's
Yeah.
Yeah.
there shouldn't really be a noticeable transition because if you look at how those guys use those knives,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, they're doing big power, big power cuts, and then they'll switch it round and they'll flip it up and they're choking right up on them knives
Yeah.
and doing really fine, delicate tasks, and then they're back down to a
Yeah.
reverse grip. You know, so it's sometimes choils. They look great, and sometimes they work really well in one grip. But people who think that they're going to slip down onto a blade, you know, aren't necessarily that confident in using a knife in first place. I mean, it's like you say, you use knives every day,
Yeah.
and you kind of realise that a lot of these ergonomic handles are unnecessary. They're just there for aesthetics, or they're there because somebody's made that knife who's not necessarily a knife user.
Yeah, it's true.
Even though, you know, they can make a great knife, they might be a fantastic engineer,
yeah.
but they've not used knives
Yeah.
Enough.
every day
Yeah.
in the field for 30 years.
Yeah. That's it.
You know, there's a big difference between knife makers and knife users who are knife makers.
Yeah.
definitely.
I'm not disrespecting anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's
But
a
it's
lot of
very
knife.
true.
There's a lot of knife makers out there who make absolutely stunning pieces,
Yeah,
but they're not knife users.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm a knife user
Yeah,
who
and you
became a
can tell
knife
that.
maker
You can.
because I couldn't find that
Yeah.
one ring to rule them all.
Yeah, that's when things good are born though, out of kind of necessity.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, your knives are very utilitarian. They're very practical, and they're, as a result, flipping sexy.
Well, it's to me,
They really are.
to me, it's a knife is a tool.
Yeah.
You know, they're kind of elevated into these mystic sort of objects a little bit because that's just through the ages. You know, knives were ceremonial. Knives were,
Yeah, they've warranted
you know,
such respect. haven't they?
blades were something owned by wealthy people. You
Yeah.
know, most guys didn't have a long knife. They'd use an axe for most things because
Yeah.
axes are a hell of a lot easier to make than a blade.
Yeah.
So the kind of knives have elevated to that level. But no, my knives, I like to think that my knives are the first knives that you grab because you're not that too worried about
Yeah.
them getting dirty, and you're not too worried about scratching them, and you're not too worried about, you know, getting them bloody and
100%.
from dealing with animals, not from dealing with people. Obviously, we've got to say that.
no, of course. Well, it's one that I keep on my neck, and especially when I'm out stalking, it comes in really handy.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Yeah.
Well, I actually ordered my Splinter at the Bushcraft show last year when you were wearing it, your one, the whole time. And I messaged you while we were at the show, and I was like,
Yeah,
"Can I get one?"
Because you were like, wait, is that the Splinter? The still Splinter. Like,
Well, the
yeah.
guy who's asked me if I'll do stainless, he's a big hunter over in Finland, and he's asked me if I'll do a stainless one for him
Yeah, no, I can tell why.
because he uses his Splinter a hell of a lot. But he said I'd really like it if it was stainless, just for
Yeah,
ease of use.
that makes sense.
Obviously, in a wet environment, it's
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Finland's probably one of the few places that's wetter than England.
Yeah, that's true.
few and far between.
So he just sort of said, you know, can you make me one in stainless?
Yeah,
well,
that's
I
a good
know for a fact if I make one, I'm going to end up
You're gonna
making
end up
half a
making-
dozen. Or
Yeah.
whatever,
There, you'll have
you
to
know.
let us know. I think.
So I'll probably just do I'll probably just do a little run. You know,
Yeah,
do 3
good
in
idea.
green, 3 in black, 3 in orange.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's
Just-
up.
Launch them all as a batch run.
Just before we end, just
Yeah.
because I'm super nerding out here,
Please.
another thing that I really noticed that I love about your handles, as well as the rock pattern, are your hidden pins, where you do the pins the
The
same
tiny
colour as the handle, and they almost disappear.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah.
have to look for them to find them.
It's tricky because you can't get a pin to match. You can't get a G10 pin to match every colour of G10. So it only really happens on
The black
the
ones.
orange or the black.
Yeah.
You know, or I think they do a green one now, but not that many people order neon green. So it only tends to happen on the orange and the black.
Yeah,
But
nice.
I know what you mean. It kind of
I love that about it.
Kind of looks
You
cool.
pointed
It looks
out
like
to me.
it looks like a stealth warship.
Yeah, because you were like, do you notice anything? I was like, not really. You're like,
Exactly.
look closer.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful piece.
I don't use a lot of mechanical fixings. I don't think it's necessary. If you're doing wood, or if you're doing micarta, then mechanical fixings, whether that be a Loveless bolt or a Chicago screw or whatever, are kind of necessary, especially with wood, because it's just belt and braces.
Yeah.
But with the G10, it bonds that well, especially with the carbon pins or the G10 pins. It bonds that well. If you use the right adhesive and you prepare all your surfaces right, and I mean, there's guys out there. Joe Price is one. He beats the hell out of his knives that he's had from me. He'll say, his phrase is he beats his knives like they owe him money.
That's so Irish.
And I've yet, touch wood, touch grass, touch wood. I've yet to have a single failure from just using pins and not using any kind of mechanical bolt fixing.
Brilliant.
And the proof is in the pudding, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've seen me wail on mine.
I have, yeah.
You've wailed on mine.
I have.
Because you were like, I don't want to give it some welly.
I was really
like,
holding
give it
back
some
at the
welly.
beginning. You
Don't
were like,
tap
please
it, whack
give it some welly.
Well, they all
that.
come with a lifetime guarantee.
Yeah.
So, if you do break it,
Well, that's
and you've not been throwing it at rocks,
Yeah.
then
I mean,
I will fix them.
Don't get me wrong, I look after my knives. Like, I'm proper OCD about looking after my knives. But at the same time, when I'm using a knife, I'm using it as a tool.
you do, yeah.
And they will do whatever they have to do to get the job done.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's another reason to have a look at Field. So where can people find you as well, Steve? Just so listeners can
probably
get
not so
one of
much
your
on
knives.
Facebook these days, because I think Facebook's kind of done for knife makers. I am on Facebook as Steve Armstrong, which is kind of linked to my Instagram, but it's field_and_steel on Instagram, or just put in Steve Armstrong and it'll bring me up.
Brilliant.
And also at www.fieldandsteel.com.
Great.
and they come Wodesman recommended, because I've used them for a good couple of years.
We're both proud owners.
And we both have bought them with our own money and used them as some of our main knives.
And hopefully I'll be getting something else of yours soon.
Excellent.
After keep an eye out for some runs.
I am getting something of yours soon.
You are?
I have one of Steve's Nesmuks, which is his beast. Because you said you wanted to do some big knives.
I do. They're a hell of a lot of fun to make, big knives.
Yeah.
So we're going to be having some plays with some of your big knives. So look out for that in the upcoming videos. I want to do a show and tell on that when I get it. And
Please do.
looking forward to it.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you.